Before you tip your mower over to remove the blade, you'll need to empty the gas tank. Best way to do that is to just run it over your lawn until the gas is empty. And you don't have to worry if it doesn't empty quite all the way. There'll probably be a little bit in there. That'll be just fine. Before we perform any type of maintenance on the mower, and particularly before we attempt to remove the blade for sharpening, we want to disconnect the spark plug wire. To get access to the blade, we just simply want to tip the mower over. We want to remove this bolt here. This particular model is a 14mm bolt. Yours may be different. And also in your model there might be a couple of bolts going in there. Okay, so before we get the bolt out, we want to make sure we've got some nice sturdy work gloves on. And we're going to prop a 2x4 in there, because when you hit that blade you don't want it whipping around and cutting your hand. And it might be tight at the beginning, so you might want to stand back with a hammer, tap it till it loosens. And then you just take it right off. We have a bolt here, and this particular model of lawnmower has a lock washer and then a regular washer. So we'll take that off and keep that as a set so we know how it goes back. This one says grass side, so you'll know to put this on the grass side down so you don't get it on backwards. Once you get your freshly sharpened mower blade back from your home center or hardware store, that's where we had ours sharpened, we're ready to put it back on. Make sure you wear work gloves so you don't get cut. We left our bolt and washers on here so we could know how they went back on. You want to line this up with the raised lugs right here, with these two holes on your blade. And you want to make sure the trailing edge, that's this part here, this is the sharpened part, the trailing edge is the other part, is facing up toward the engine. So it slopes up toward the engine. This is also helpful too, because on the blade itself it says grass side. And then we'll just line it up with the raised lugs. And you know we've got our trailing edge facing up toward the engine. And we're ready to tighten. And we'll tighten with a wrench, socket wrench. Need to get it fairly tight. Once again, you're going to want to take a piece of 2x4 or other lumber to hold the blade in place while you get it really tight. This will go up away on this edge, not the sharpened edge, on the trailing edge, so you won't be ruining your sharpened blade. To get the old oil out of your mower, sometimes there's a drain plug underneath. This particular model does not have a oil drain plug. This one requires that we simply tip the mower sideways and upside down after we remove the oil cap. So we'll do that right now. Make sure you have a suitable container to dump the old oil in. Something that will work, and make sure it's an old container, and make sure you're wearing your old clothes. The good news is we didn't spill any oil. The bad news is there wasn't much oil in there to spill. You'll want to dispose of the old oil properly at an oil recycling center or place that recycles old oil. Clean up any drips with an old rag. Next, you want to check your owner's manual and make sure you get the right kind of lawnmower oil. Some containers like this one simply say lawnmower oil. Our manual calls for SAE 30, so that's the kind we're going to use. And our lawnmower holds 20 ounces of oil, it says. But we'll fill it up part way and check it with the dipstick to make sure we don't overfill it. You do not want to overfill it. So take a good clean funnel, stick that in there, and begin pouring. Okay, now we'll check it. We're going to be sure we wipe off the dipstick. And then we'll put it in there and check the level. You can see it goes up to the full line. If it's kind of clear and you can't really tell, you flip it over. You can see that oil's going right up to the fill line. The next step is to clean the air filter. You don't want to wash the air filter. It loses its effectiveness rapidly, so you'll just simply want to change it. Better check your model number again and make. This one calls for this type of filter. They do vary, and the instructions call for simply twisting this clockwise. This is a cap on the filter. Oh yes, we can see that filter definitely needs changing. So here's the old dirty filter. Here's the new clean filter. Snap the new filter in place. It'll take a little push, a little tight. Okay, we're ready to replace the filter cap. You might want to clean it up a bit with a rag. Make sure all the gunk is out of it. And now to put it back on the filter, we have to turn the filter just a little bit clockwise to get this on. We'll slide that on. There's a couple of notches here. Put it in that first notch and then turn it counterclockwise, and it'll snap right back into place. We're going to take out the old spark plug, and I'm just using a spark plug socket wrench. You can see how the old spark plug is very fouled compared to the new spark plug. Check your owner's manual. The one for this mower calls for a 0.030 gap, and we have a gap right here, and it fits very nicely. It's already pre-gapped properly, and you want to make sure you use the proper kind of spark plug. This one calls for an RJ19LM spark plug. Okay, we'll turn it in loosely. Make sure we're not stripping the threads. We'll take our socket wrench and just turn it in, just make sure it's snug. We're going to do some lubrication. First we're going to lubricate the front wheel adjusters. Just a point right in there so they'll slide easily. Use a spray lubricant. Next we're going to lubricate the rear door hinges. Next we're going to lubricate the handle bracket mounting pins. And next we'll lubricate the brake spring bracket. Now we're ready to refill with gas. This is a 4-cycle mower. Just take standard unleaded gasoline from the gas pump. Now that our lawnmower maintenance is complete, we'll reconnect the spark plug to the wire. And we're ready to test.